Before amusement parks had roller coasters, flashing signs, or costumed mascots, many of them had something much simpler: beer. In 19th century America, breweries did not always wait for customers to find them. Some built gardens, concert halls, restaurants, observation towers, and full-scale resorts designed to bring huge crowds directly to the brewery. And nowhere was this idea more visible than Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Start just north of downtown Milwaukee, along the Milwaukee River. Today, this is Schlitz Park, an office campus made from portions of the former Schlitz Brewery complex. Several historic brewery buildings still stand here, surrounded by highways, offices, and modern development. But in the late 19th century, Schlitz was not merely producing beer, it was building destinations. In 1879, the Schlitz Company purchased Quentin's Park, on a hill northwest of downtown Milwaukee. Schlitz expanded the grounds with an enormous concert pavilion, reportedly capable of holding thousands of people. The park also featured an observation tower and even a collection of wild animals. From the tower, visitors could look across the growing industrial city. Below them were music, food, entertainment, and, naturally, Schlitz beer. The original park has disappeared into the modern street grid, but its approximate location can still be seen around North 8th Street, between West Walnut Street and West Brown Street. Fly over the neighborhood today, and there is little indication that thousands of Milwaukee residents once came here for concerts, views, and weekend recreation. That disappearance is part of the story. These brewery gardens were once major urban attractions, but many left almost no visible trace. Schlitz also operated one of Milwaukee's most spectacular indoor attractions. The Schlitz Palm Garden stood downtown, beside the Schlitz Hotel. Inside was a vast hall filled with palm trees, decorative lighting, balconies, dining tables, and soaring arches. It was a beer garden transformed into an artificial indoor paradise. The original building was eventually demolished. The site is now part of the Avenue development in downtown Milwaukee, near North 3rd Street and West Wisconsin Avenue. But Schlitz was not alone. Travel north along the Lake Michigan shoreline to Whitefish Bay. Today, Whitefish Bay is a dense residential suburb of Milwaukee. Large houses line quiet streets overlooking the lake. In the late 19th century, however, this shoreline held one of the region's most famous brewery resorts. In 1889, Frederick Pabst purchased land here and developed the Pabst Whitefish Bay Resort. The complex included a hotel, restaurants, landscaped grounds, a beer garden, and a large music pavilion. Later additions included a carousel and a Ferris wheel. At its peak, the resort attracted thousands of visitors during a single weekend. The location was ideal. It stood outside the crowded industrial center of Milwaukee beside Lake Michigan, where visitors could enjoy cooler air and sweeping views of the water. People arrived to eat, drink, listen to concerts, walk through the grounds, and spend an entire day away from the city. This was not yet a modern amusement park, but it was getting remarkably close. The resort eventually disappeared, and the property was divided for residential development. To understand why breweries invested in these places, we need to look beneath the city. Fly south to Cincinnati, Ohio, and the neighborhood known as Over the Rhine. This district became one of America's great 19th century brewing centers. Large brick breweries were built above networks of underground cellars and tunnels. Before mechanical refrigeration, lager had to be stored at low temperatures. Brewers dug deep into hillsides or used subterranean rooms where beer could remain cool through the summer. Ice cut from frozen rivers and lakes was carried into these cellars during winter. The brewery was therefore more than a factory. It was an enormous collection of buildings, storage chambers, stables, loading areas, and underground infrastructure. Once a brewery controlled that much property, adding a public garden or entertainment space made economic sense. The brewery could sell beer directly to visitors. There was no need to bottle it, ship it across the region, or share as much of the profit with outside saloons. The destination itself became part of the business. Over the Rhine still contains many massive brewery buildings. One visible example is the former Christian Moorline bottling plant on Elm Street, now occupied by Rheingeist Brewery. From above, its scale is obvious. The enormous brick structure sits directly beside the former industrial rail corridor and only a short distance from Cincinnati's downtown core. Now travel west to St. Louis, Missouri. The Anheuser-Busch Brewery in the Soulard neighborhood is still one of the most visually impressive brewery complexes in America. The campus covers well over 100 acres and includes historic brewhouses, warehouses, stables, rail infrastructure, and landscaped areas. Unlike many vanished Milwaukee gardens, this brewery remains highly visible from the air. Anheuser-Busch understood the same basic principle used by earlier brewery gardens. The experience surrounding the beer could be as important as the beer itself. The company offered tours, elaborate architecture, hospitality spaces, and public attractions that connected the brand with leisure and spectacle. A few miles southwest of the brewery stands another unusual example. Bevo Mill was built by August Busch Sr. in the early 20th century. Its giant windmill tower and German-inspired architecture were designed to evoke an old European inn. The building became a place for dining, music, dancing, and public gatherings. From above, Bevo Mill still stands out clearly inside an otherwise ordinary St. Louis neighborhood. The brewery destination reached an even larger scale in the 20th century. Fly south to Tampa, Florida. In 1959, Anheuser-Busch opened Busch Gardens beside its new Tampa brewery. The original attraction featured landscaped tropical gardens, exotic birds, brewery tours, and complimentary beer. Over time, those gardens grew into a major theme park. Animal exhibits were added. Then came larger rides, roller coasters, themed environments, and enormous entertainment complexes. The brewery attraction had evolved into a fully developed amusement park. Today, almost nothing about the scale of Busch Gardens Tampa feels like a simple brewery garden, but that is exactly where it began. This evolution was not unique to breweries. Electric streetcar companies were building their own recreation grounds during the same period. They created parks at the ends of transit lines to generate weekend ridership. Breweries wanted customers. Streetcar companies wanted passengers. Both discovered that entertainment could create demand for another product. A shaded garden might begin with tables, food, and live music. Then came dance halls, theaters, bowling lanes, animal exhibits, carousels, Ferris wheels, and mechanical rides. Each attraction encouraged visitors to stay longer, and every extra hour meant more fares, more meals, and more beer sold. These spaces also served a real social need. Industrial cities were crowded, smoky, and often short on public parkland. For workers living in dense neighborhoods, a brewery garden offered trees, music, fresh air, inexpensive food, and a place where the entire family could gather. It functioned partly as a business and partly as a public park. That family atmosphere also made the gardens controversial. Temperance organizations argued that breweries were disguising alcohol promotion as wholesome recreation. Supporters saw the gardens as part of a European social tradition, where families could eat, drink, and listen to music together. Critics saw carefully designed advertising environments. When national prohibition began in 1920, the traditional brewery garden model largely collapsed. Breweries could no longer rely on legal beer sales to fund enormous entertainment grounds. Some parks closed, others were redeveloped. Some attractions survived independently, while the breweries behind them disappeared. The result can still be seen from the air. At Schlitz Park, brewery buildings became offices. At the site of Schlitz Garden, the original attraction vanished beneath Milwaukee's street grid. At Woodfish Bay, the Pabst Resort became a residential neighborhood. In Cincinnati, old brewing complexes were converted into new businesses. And in Tampa, a brewery garden became one of America's largest theme parks. Today, breweries are once again building outdoor gathering spaces. They add live music, food trucks, lawn games, patios, tours, and family events. The style is modern, but the business strategy is not. Create a destination, give people reasons to stay, then build the brand around the experience.